Hello, everybody. Look at all those faces out there. Wow. So much Taiko talent around Australia and New Zealand. Thank you, Makiko, Graham, Yen. We've got Mike, Ken, and Toshi to join our next discussion, which will be about self-improvement. So many of these, or I think everyone is now a Taiko teacher or one of the leaders of their Taiko group. So the question is, now that you're at the top, how do you then improve your skills moving forward? I'm Simon. I've been playing Taiko for 23 years now, and I've been teaching for probably 21 years. So it's it's getting on there. Makiko.
My name is Makiko from Drama Infinity Mugendai in Cairns. I've started Taiko about 11 years ago, I think. And then I don't want to say really like a teaching or teacher, because for me, it's like a teacher is like people like Hayashida sensei or like Kano sensei or Ritaro sensei, or like people who really become professional and in teaching. So I'm more like I just say that I'm experienced person, or that's how I call. I'm not the one, I don't want to say I'm teacher. Anyway, but having said that, I show how to taiko or something, and then that to the team, and then I show that like how to drum taiko and then the rhythm as well. So in a way, yes, it is a teacher, but I prefer not to say it.
Well, that's very humble of you, but we're going to call you a teacher for today's purposes nonetheless. Graham.
Hi, I'm Graham from YuNiOn in Sydney. I've been playing for, that's a good question, about 24 years. I think 1 year more than Simon. And I think so, yeah, or 25 maybe. And I've been teaching for about 21 years, I think. And a little bit like Makiko, I don't necessarily see myself as a teacher, probably more of a facilitator or director, or opening up the space and closing it up, and and making sure everyone's got some bachi and a taiko and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm more experienced than most people in that space. So therefore, I probably am a teacher of sorts.
Absolutely, yeah. Yen.
Yeah, so my brother was in the World Championship group of Chinese 24 style drumming, which was very much improved by inspired by taiko drums by a crazy Chinese guy in Malaysia. So I guess I was soaking that in growing up until Simon picked me up and gave me a bachi and said, "Come on tour next week," in 2004. So Simon, it was my sensei, and or teacher, whatever you call it. And no one's a teacher here apparently. So yeah, so I'm Yen. I'm from Launceston. We have Taiko Onijima, but also I guess I'm in a way representing the Taiko of Tasmania with Hikari Taiko in Burnie and Hobart Taiko Doramu. Yeah, so I've been teaching and learning and still learning since then.
Fantastic. Mike and Ken.
G'day. Yep. I'm Mike. I'm from Wadaiko in Hamilton, New Zealand. I came to Taiko in about 2005, so I've been doing Taiko now for 17 years, and probably sort of been, I guess, teaching, as it were, for basically about the last 10. Leanne and Michelle are our original leaders of our group, but they've since moved on and started families and kind of moved on. So me and Ken sort of kept it going. Ken.
And I've been doing taiko for 22 years, and I had black hair when I started. I thought.
Don't say that Taiko turns your hair white. We're going to turn all our audience away. Yeah. Toshi.
Hi everyone. Okay. I'm Toshi. I started drumming a long time ago. So when I was 26 years old. I'm now over 60. So, and I came to Australia in 1995, and I started teaching drumming next year, 1996. So, I'm drumming class have been running more than 25 years. Yeah, quite long. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. And I also must say that Toshi's tour of Tasmania was the inspiration for me and some friends to actually start a Taiko group in Hobart. That was 20 years ago. Taiko Doramu will be celebrating 20 years this year. So I'll be heading to Tassie in October, and we're going to have a great 20 anniversary celebration. So that's great. And really welcome to our special guest from New Zealand. It's so great that you could join us. Thank you, guys. And so let me know, can you say anything you like? It's a very open question. How do you improve yourself and your own skills now that you are in your group, the role of a senior member? I didn't know teacher was a dirty word, but we still need to improve our own skills. So how do we do that, Makiko?
Yes, for me is that I attend a workshop or like even private lesson when I go to Japan. Of course, last few years it was not possible with COVID, but I try to attend as best as I can to improve myself. Other than that, during the COVID lockdown or pandemic, and I took quite a lot of online workshop from a master in Japan, so that I can improve myself, because I've noticed that especially with a younger generation, that if I'm not improving, they kind of stop learning as well. So that if I cannot really stop myself to learning, so that the way that the younger generation can continue to learn the Taiko drumming too. So basically I learned from the master in Japan, somehow online workshop, or like when I go to Japan, I learn through workshop or private lesson.
And you've also been instrumental in bringing artists to Australia as well a few times.
Yes, I did. And then it's a lot of teacher, ex-Kodo member, Hayashi sensei or Kamiya sensei, current Kodo member like Chieko Kojima-san, and then they've been invited to Cairns, and then I also attend like a Miyake Daiko workshop in Australia as well as Japan as well. So I'm not stopping learning myself.
It's fantastic. And thank you so much for all your great efforts to bring artists to Australia. Graham.
Yeah, I think with teaching, like every time I teach, I learn about myself. And so when I first started teaching, you realize after a while you don't really know much, and you get better at not only just teaching, but you basically get better at your skill level, and you work out, because when you teach something, you might teach a certain way and you think, oh, that's what I do. And so therefore you improve your skill level that way. So that's something that I'm very aware of. And I guess it's one of those things with music in particular, like I'll never stop learning about music. I'm going to die first, because the more I the longer I'm here on earth, the more I discover that I don't know, and so the more I try and find out more about it, and I think that's where, like Makiko said, having lessons and improving in that way is a really helpful tool, because then you realize that this is the way this person approaches it, or this is what this person can do on this instrument. And so, do I want to do that? That's the first question I ask. And then if I do want to do it, then I work out or listen to what they've got to share with me, and then I go home and practice it. So, but basically, every time I teach, I learn about myself, and that's the way I develop my skill.
Oh, fantastic, Graham. Thanks. Yeah.
Taiko is so simple and also so complex, because really Taiko is just like, lifting your arm and coming down. It's quite dumb, actually. But also at the same time, I find it very fortunate, I guess. I don't know how it is in a lot of parts of the world, but I think we in the West at least have a lot of chance to meet a lot of different schools of Taiko and learn from many different masters, especially in Australia. Definitely my experience learning from many different, ways of playing Taiko, and they are all so different approaches to lifting your hand and bringing it down, which is such a simple yet very complex and interesting thing. I come from a martial arts background, so I'm very much into Bruce Lee growing up, and Jeet Kune Do, which is taking everything and nothing at the same time. So just take what's useful. We have the opportunity in Australia to shop around. Fortunate enough to meet so many different people here on this chat that I've learned from, and I guess I'm also very technically minded, so I'm trying to break it down. What are the common things? What are the not common things of the mechanics of drumming? We all have one body, as Bruce Lee said. If everyone has different arms or different legs, we will all be different styles of martial arts, but we all have the same body. So, there's only a limit of what you can do, and there's many things that are the same, many things that are different. So finding that out is very exciting. I'm going to meet Simon Barker in September, October, which he teaches a lot of Korean style drumming, and so I'm looking forward to sort of seeing another side of how to lift your arm and put it down again.
Fantastic. Yeah, you're spot on there. There's it's a simple action, but there's a myriad ways to do it. Yeah. Mike and Ken.
I really like this question, actually, because it's actually something I actually experienced personally when I started trying to sort of teach the group. Is that it was like Groundhog Day. Students were coming in, and we were just like teaching like the same material. And after a while, I was going, I'm kind of getting bored here, because I'm teaching other people like how to do the songs that we know, that we've been taught by others. And I was going, but what about my own skills? Because if you're going to be a leader, you've got to somehow like keep improving yourself. And I was going, well, how are people like me and Ken like going to improve? Because like no one's teaching us. And so that was kind of difficult. So we did something similar, really. We started getting people in, like from overseas. So we met 3 Japanese drummers who became really good friends of ours. I personally went to Taiko's in Sydney, went out to the winery. That's how I met like Simon, yourself. That's how I met Graham. We've had Graham and Masai like come over. So we find it's really important if we can find people in other groups and bring them in, so that you can like further our skills. And then, we also then go, I think it's a different way of doing things. Like one thing I've learned a lot now is that we've got some younger people starting in the group. We've just got a 16-year-old boy that's turned up. But this generation, you could teach them the kuchishawa and you could show them music. But the truth is they just want to do it by YouTube video, so their learning is by video, not necessarily by just repeating something by rote forever and ever and ever until you get it. So you got to kind of not just keep up, but also be open to learning and teaching in different ways.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Toshi.
Yes. So I think the best way to improve is to have a performance in public. I always teaching at class in front of the student. So and sometimes I ask student to teach to other people. So it's a good. I think it's a good. For the student and for the teacher. And sometimes I allowed them to take a video as my performance in the class, and they can review at home. And also, I make a practice video and post it on our video library, and so that the student in a class practice at home while watching it anytime. So it's we started as a video or library so a few years ago. That's a good practice.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Look, just in summary, I fully back everything that was mentioned today, and I think I've, also done most of those things myself. And so it's really great to hear those similarities, that we all have similar approaches. I think there's sort of like a pathway to becoming really good at a particular subject. What's the progress? It's like learn, digest, teach, or is teaching. It's so whatever you do, if you want to get good at it, teaching is actually a part of your improvement. So it sort of flips this question around, because teaching is in much of the way that we can improve, because we understand what we do in a way that we have to express to someone else. But just one little thing that I do is that when I teach, I play mirror image. So everything I teach, I play left-handed. So I'm constantly practicing my weaker hand every time I teach a taiko lesson. And I feel that that's just one little way that I can just try and improve on my own weaknesses while I'm doing teaching. Thank you so much, everyone. That was, I know it's very short, but there's some really great ideas and suggestions there. We don't have time to go around, but thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to our next recording topic. And we hope you at home are enjoying the festival, and keep tuning in. We've got something new for you coming up next.